I don't know if the gold price will actually reach 20,000, but I'm thinking really it will go over 5,000, probably over 10,000. Yeah, I think that's very likely.
Jan, it should be obvious though by now that record levels of debt are impossible to be repaid based on current conditions. If we were to even consider repayment as a possibility, something different and drastic has to happen. Do you think one possible option is for gold to be revalued higher, just as we said, to account for record levels of debt in the system? Do you feel that the governments or central banks may actually do it?
Yeah, it could be. It could be. I did some research. It was kind of interesting. I researched the balance sheets of the European central banks, and especially I looked at the biggest one. Also, of course, my own central bank, the Dutch central bank, but also the German central bank, France, and Italy. And what they do is they have the gold on the asset side, and on the liability side they have what's called a revaluation account. So that is the unrealized gains in gold, in the gold value. Of course, they purchased gold at a certain amount, and it went up in value. And all that gain is on the liability side of their balance sheet. And they say in the annual reports that part on the liability side is actually a buffer, a shock buffer to let have, for example, if they have a lot of losses on assets, they can absorb those losses with this buffer, with this, they call it hidden gold reserves. This is, sorry, I'm getting into accounting technical details, but let me put it very clearly. The gold on the balance sheet of central banks, if it increases in value, what happens is that it can make up for the losses of other assets on their balance sheet. So, of course, central banks are buying a lot of bonds, and if those bonds decline in value, they have to, they suffer losses on their balance sheet. So increasing the price of gold then repairs their balance sheet. The higher the gold price goes, the more, the wealthier, or the more value is accumulated on their balance sheet, so they can absorb more losses. This is a different story than what I just told about the Fed's monetary base and the price of gold that's another model, but yeah, it's very likely because, as you can see now, the Fed, but also in Europe, the European Central Bank is buying a lot of Italian bonds. I mean, the country is technically bankrupt, and the ECB keeps buying these bonds. Now, of course, they will suffer losses at some point, and they have to do something. And I think gold will be used in that problem.
All right, so I wanted to start today's video off with that clip. First and foremost, just to show you that there is talks outside of the crypto space of a financial reset coming as well. And they basically explained in simple terms how this reset could happen. So, there's not much that needs to go down, because at the end of the day, the only issue with all this financial stuff, the hole that we're in right now, is a balance sheet. That's the numbers on the piece of paper. Because when you look around the world right now, every country basically is more advanced than they ever have been. All right, more infrastructure is built out than we've ever had. So as far as all that goes, we're further along in development than we've ever been. But the issue is our pieces of paper that say who owes what and why. So I think that all these countries can come behind the scenes, shake hands, and figure out a deal of how they're going to reset their balance sheets. And that's where this theme, the Great Reset and financial reset, is coming from. But just a couple things to note from the video. They say they think gold can get up to, between 5 and 10K for 1 ounce, which I think is entirely possible. Obviously, they mentioned that this the record debt levels that we're at right now are impossible to be repaid. So all that has to happen, really, like I said, though, is a rebalancing on the balance sheet. They said the European Central Bank, for instance, has a gold on the asset side of the balance sheet and a gold revaluation on the liability. So they have like a cushion, a buffer in there. If, for those of you that don't know, simple accounting, assets and liabilities have to balance out. So if one goes up, the other has to go down, and so on. They also made mention that governments are buying bonds right now from bankrupt countries, Italy to be specific. So you wouldn't be buying these bonds just because, obviously it's not an investment for them. They're going to bring these bonds onto their balance sheet, which they know are going to eventually lose value, but there has to be a counter to balance that out, and they're well aware. So I wanted to direct your attention to this World Economic Forum again. So if you want to come check it out, there is an archive. So it's under agendas, the Great Reset. And I mean, if you come in here, there's so many things making mention of, where it looks like we're going. What do we have here? So 3 trends that will transform the energy industry: decarbonization, decentralization, and digitalization. So there's some crypto references without saying it. Financial and sustainable recovery. How to get your company strategy ready for the Great Reset. It is critical that businesses reevaluate their digital transformation. Could it be more obvious, guys? Why industries need a reset and how to do it. So this whole thing is talking about going digital, this and that. I mean, and I've showed you before, they have blockchain right on the Great Reset as part of the 4th Industrial Revolution. So those guys were talking in the video talking about how gold will be part of this reset. I think that crypto is going to be a main part of it as well. That's why I continue to focus on that specific industry. So for those of you who don't know, just less than 2 months ago, federally chartered banks and thrifts are now allowed to provide custody services for crypto assets. But so this is like, on a customer basis, but what it also allows for is these banks to hold crypto assets on their balance sheet. So just like the gold idea, it's the same thing. You're holding one asset that appreciates greatly in value, so that offsets your asset that's losing in value. All right, it's really as simple as that. But I don't think that they're making these rule changes just by coincidence. All right, they're allowing banks to get involved. They're legitimizing the asset class, and they're preparing for a move towards a digital economy, digitalization, digital identity, digital currency. You get the point. And also, over the past couple days, there's been a push in the mainstream for buying Bitcoin. So, for those of you who didn't see, Jim Cramer did an interview with Anthony Pompliano a couple days ago. And he's the guy that does the CNBC Mad Money, talks about stock investing and so on. But he said, when people talk about like crypto gets hacked or whatever, what's really bad, it's when your kids can't find your gold. And that is, by the way, not unusual. So this is why I'm fixated on needing to own crypto, because I fear a massive amount of inflation and I don't have any. Gold will do okay. The houses will do okay. Blah, 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 whatever. So basically he went on there and he said he thinks that, his kids and grandkids aren't going to care about gold, but that they will like crypto. So he wants to add some to his portfolio. I don't think it's a coincidence that they got this guy, CNBC Mad Money, Jim Cramer, doing an interview with Anthony Pompliano right now about buying some Bitcoin. This is going to start being that snowball effect into the mainstream media. Next up, this company MicroStrategy basically doubled down on their Bitcoin bet as well. So it says, MSTR price has once again risen. I think it jumped about 9% today. In a similar fashion, after confirming yesterday that it doubled down on adopting a Bitcoin standard, buying over 38,000 BTC worth 425 million. We just had an awful realization that we were sitting on top of a $500 million ice cube that's melting, referring to their cash. So they say, hey, why don't we get rid of this cash that's going away and buy some Bitcoin with it? And yep, of course. So my main point there is just, all right, so MicroStrategy's, this company bought $425 million worth of Bitcoin. You got Jim Cramer from CNBC Fast Money coming out here saying he's got to buy some Bitcoin. And then you also got Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, saying now is not the time to worry about shrinking the deficit. So this rebalancing stuff, it's coming, but it's saying, basically they're not going to do it right now. But they know how to do it, and the point of this video is showing you that's really not that complicated. All they have to do is tweak some numbers on the balance sheet, shake some hands behind the scenes with countries, and then bam, we started over. Financial reset. So don't overthink it. All right, just a couple things I highlighted too. So had we not passed the $3 trillion deal and the Fed not acted in the way we've done, I think you see a very, very different economic scenario right now. So pat on the back, we're doing great because we printed money. The time to start working on fiscal sustainability is not right now when we have so many people in need. They're so concerned about the people in need, aren't they? This is the kind of stuff that irritates me though, because they knew that shutting down the economy like this was going to be detrimental, but only to small businesses. So this article on CNBC came out today. Yelp data shows 60% of business closures due to the coronavirus pandemic are now permanent. So they want to help everyone. So many people in need right now. Well, guess what? We already lost 60% of the small businesses that were shut down. They're gone permanently now. But the S&P 500 is still chugging along. All the top companies are doing well. Elon Musk is jumping in the top 5 wealthiest men in the world just because the Tesla stock is booming. I think Jeff Bezos has doubled his net worth during the pandemic, something like that. So the only people hurting, the only people that are in need are going to be permanently damaged. So, I think that this is all part of one big wealth transfer, basically, because it's obvious here. Small businesses, the little guys are losing and the top is winning. The stock market is booming, which is the S&P 500 I'm referencing. The rich are getting richer. The little guys are bankrupt and struggling and basically at the mercy of the government. So now, whatever they do, people are just going to cheer it on. Yeah, come on, please, give us more help. We're people in need. Okay, now we have the solution for you. So this is that typical problem, reaction, solution. And I personally think it's all part of the plan. So you do you. I just think that the story's a lot bigger than just some mysterious virus that came and shut down the world, personally. Oh, and I say that because right now what you got, basically the death rate now is 2%, and I personally believe that that's highly inflated. But if the governments and people in charge knew, like I said, how detrimental shutting down the economy like this would be for the little guy, and to do it over something that just has a 2% inflated death rate, right? They've bumped that up as high as they can. And, just this picture here, 41,423 total UK deaths. But this is deaths in the fine print, deaths for any reason within 28 days of a positive test. So, got to read the fine print there. What else did I have for you here? Okay, so in the US, supposedly 6.6 million people have positive cases. In relation to that, right now, about 1.2 million people in the US are living with HIV positive, but no one seems to care about that. No one, we're not hammering home sexual education or anything like that. You know, we're not shutting down the economy for HIV, but we are for COVID with a 2% death and so on. But whatever. I'm sure you get my point here. I just wanted to show you that there's definitely evidence of a financial reset coming. I think it's going to involve gold as well as crypto. And all that they really have to do is move some numbers around on the balance sheet. And they can do that by inflating the prices of crypto and gold and, you know, having bad bonds on their asset side. So, all right. As always, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, share with your friends and family, and stay tuned for the next one. Thank you.
What is a cashless society? What does it actually mean in a literal or high-level sense?
Money will become like these, relics of a different age, and will only be found in places like this. In other words, hard cash will disappear. It will become electronic, transferred by things like these.
Then Tracy is in Beijing to show us what a nearly cashless society actually looks like. Ben, good morning.
Mobile payment transactions in China reached a cumulative total of 277.4 trillion RMB in 2018, ranking #1 in the world, according to the recently released statistical report on internet development in China. As of June 2019, online payment users in the country reached 633 million. The cashless society is now approaching.
When's the last time you paid with cash? Well, chances are cash has taken a backseat to the plastic in your wallet and smartphone pay apps.
Denver 7's Ryan Luby explains the digital pay revolution and why not everyone is on board.
The cashless society, the cashless society.
The cashless society.
The cashless society is now approaching.
The cashless society.